Welcome to today's session, children. In the previous session, you have learned about how the elements are classified and arranged in the modern periodic table, which was proposed by Moseley. So, which property has considered in organizing the elements? It is nothing but atomic number. So, has arranged the elements in the increasing order of their atomic numbers. So, today let us learn about some periodic properties. So at first about metallic nature of the elements. Now coming to this table, you have different types of elements. Some are metals, some are non-metals, and some elements have intermediate properties of both metals and non-metals, which we call them as metalloids. Now coming to S block, you have 1A and 2A groups in S block. So these two groups are metals. All of them are metals. Okay, coming to P block. P block, we have a few metals, non-metals, as well as metalloids. Okay, of course there are some exceptions everywhere, and D block elements are also metallic in nature and they are known as transition metals. Why they are called transition metals? Because D block is present between S block and P block. Therefore, this block is called transition metals. And F block actually belongs to within D block. Therefore, F block elements are known as inner transition metals. Okay, usually in terms of outer configuration, if you look at, if the outer shell has 3 or less, if outer shell has 3 or less electrons, they are all metals. If there are 5 or more electrons in the outermost shell, they are non-metals. So this is how generally we categorize. Right. Now next property is valence. What is valence electron? What does it mean by valence electrons? So generally the electrons present in the outermost shell are known as valence electrons. Then how do we define valency of element? See here, valency is nothing but the combining capacity of an element with respect to hydrogen and oxygen. Now for example, sodium. One atom of sodium, it combines with one atom of hydrogen, then you will get NaH, sodium hydride. Then what is the valency of sodium? It is forming a bond with one hydrogen atom only. So the valency of sodium is 1. Now with respect to oxygen, how do we calculate valency? Let us take for example calcium. Calcium reacts with one oxygen atom and it forms CaO. So, in case of oxygen, for every one oxygen atom, we take valency as 2. So, the calcium valency is 2. Since it is combining with one oxygen atom. Let it be any element here. You can take even magnesium in place of calcium. MgO is formed. So, here, when one element, the atom of one element combines with one oxygen atom, then the valency of that particular atom will be 2. So with respect to hydrogen it is only 1, but when it is oxygen we have to take it as 2. So this is one way of calculating the valency, and oxidation number is also a new concept which replaces this valence concept in the modern literature. And in another way also we can calculate the valency of the elements. Now these are the 8A groups. Can you see? In S block you have 1A, 2A, and in P block you have 3A to 8A. You can look at the periodic table as well. Now here, now what is the group number here? 1A, it is 1. So the valency of the 1A group is 1. You take any element, whether it is hydrogen, lithium or sodium, the valency is 1. Now coming to 2A, the number is 2 here. So what is the valency of beryllium? It is 2. 1A it is 1, 2A the valency is 2. And for 3A, the valency is 3. For boron, for example, and even taken few examples. And carbon, it is 4. So up to 4th group, the valency is equal to group number. But 5th group onwards, you have to apply a formula. What is it? You have to take 8 minus group number. 8 minus group number. Now for example, take 5th A group. What is the group number? 5. So how do we get the valency of this group? 8 minus 5. What it is? 3. Then what is the valency of 5th A group? It is 3. Then 8 minus 6. So 2. 2 is the valency of 6th A group. Then 7A. 8 minus 7. So what is the valency 8 minus 7? It is 1. So 1 is the valency of 7A group. And the last group 8A. 8 minus 8. 0. Therefore 0 is the valency of the 8th group. So this is how you can get the valency of the main block elements. What are the main block elements? S and P. So up to 4th group, the valency is equal to group number. 5th group onwards, you have to go by the formula 8 minus group number to get the valency. So what do you notice in the gradation, regular gradation of the valency in the group? It is increasing gradually up to 4. Again it is decreasing down to 0. So this is how the valency, it is showing the regular gradation in the period. Coming to any group for example, the valency remains the same. Now for example, hydrogen, helium, sodium, potassium, they belong to 1A group. The valency of all these elements is 1. The valency of all 2A group elements is 2. All 3A group elements it is 3, and so on. Fine. This is how you can get the valency of the group elements. And the next periodic property is atomic radius. So what is atomic radius or size, and how does it vary in a period and a group? That is what we are going to learn now. Now how do we calculate the atomic radius? So generally you know how to calculate the radius of any circle, which you will be doing it in the geometry, right? Now suppose this is an atom having a few shells, right? This is a nucleus. Now how do we calculate the radius? You have to take the center of the atom till the outer shell. So this is atomic radius. This will help us to calculate the size of the atom. But to take an isolated atom and calculate the radius, it is very difficult because you just don't know exactly where are the electrons present in the outer shell. So what is the general practice of calculating the atomic size or radius? Now for example, if the element is in a solid state, these atoms are placed adjacent to each other in the solid state. Okay, then what can be done? They are adjacent to each other. You can calculate the distance from the center of one atom to the center of the next atom, adjacent atom. So what you are going to get? See, you are getting the distance between the center of two atoms. So exactly half of this distance if you take, you will be getting atomic radius. So completely we have to take the distance from the center of one atom to the center of the adjacent atom, and half of it will become the atomic radius. If the elements are in the solid state, we can calculate the atomic radius this way. Anyhow, 75% of the elements are metals. Now whereas in case of gases, you can calculate by taking molecules, covalent molecules formed by the covalent bond. Now for example, two gas atoms, you can take hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, any gas. So usually two of them are combined with a covalent bond. See, about covalent bond we will be discussing anyhow in the next unit. So you need not become panic about what it is. Now here what is done? The distance between the center of two bonded atoms. These are bonded atoms. It's a molecule. So it is taken, and half of it you are going to take it as a covalent radius. covalent radius. So this is how we can calculate the size of the atoms when they are in the bonded state forming molecules. Okay, now the next question. What happens to the atomic size in a period and in a group? What happens to the size? Okay, now let us look at the group first. What happens to the size in a group? For example, 1A group, hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, etc. Now, what happens in the group? At every step, now in case of the first element, there is only one shell, one S orbital is present in the first. In case of lithium, you have two shells. This is K and L. Right? Now, in case of sodium, see what is happening at every step in a period, one new shell gets added. Now, in case of sodium, you have three shells, and in case of potassium, you have four shells. So, this is applicable to all the elements in the period. In the first period, there is one shell. In the second period, all elements are having two shells. In the third period, they have three. And fourth period, four. So, at every step in a period, one new shell is getting added. So, why? Because why it is needed more and more electrons must be occupied as the number of the protons and electrons increase in any atom. We need more shells to accommodate. So, for that reason, the number of shells keep increasing. In a group, at every step, one new shell is getting added. So, what happens to the size of the atom in a group? It increases. The size of the atom increases in a group. Okay. Did you get the point? In any group, you take 2A group, 3A group, 4A group. At every step, one new shell gets added. Therefore, the size of the atom increases in any group. Remember this point. Now, next question. What happens to the size of the atom in a period? In a period. Now, look at any period. The number of shells remain the same. Now, for example, this is second period. This period is second period. Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, neon, they belong to second period. Now, if you observe the shells, for all the elements, the number of shells remain the same. See, two shells are there. In all the elements, you have two shells. The electrons being filled in the two shells. So, what do we assume? What do we assume? In the entire period, the size of the atom should not change. It must remain the same. Because there are only two shells for all the atoms. Why will the size increase? But it is not so. So, what is happening to the size of the atom in a period? So, let us look at the number of electrons present here. Now, lithium's atomic number is 3. So, in the first shell, we have 2 electrons. In the second shell, we have only 1. Whereas, in case of beryllium, you have 2 electrons in the second shell. In case of boron, we have 3 electrons in the second shell. In case of carbon, 4. In case of oxygen, 5. In case of nitrogen, 6. In case of fluorine, 7. And in case of neon, you have total 8 electrons in the second shell. So what is happening here? Number of electrons and protons are increasing when we move from left to the right in a period. So what happens then when the number of electrons increases? The force of attraction between the protons present in the nucleus and the outermost electrons increases. So when this force of attraction increases, we call it as nuclear charge as well. When the nuclear charge increases, these electrons come closer to the nucleus and the size of the atom decreases. So, as you move from left to the right in a period, the size of the atom decreases. Why is the size decreasing? Though the number of shells remain the same, it is because the force of attraction between protons and electrons, they are increasing as the number of electrons and protons are increasing and they come closer. So the atom shrinks and the size decreases. Thank you.